Okay, welcome. We are excited to be here this morning. We've got Paige Edwards and A.L. Sowards here with us, along with Marilee, Crystal, and Mara, some of our favorite readers. And we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for today. So I'm going to turn the time over to Paige and A.L. to kind of tell us about yourselves and your books, and then we'll go from there.
Paige, do you want to start?
Sure. Anyway, this is my book, Facing the Enemy. It came out on Monday. And some people say, hey, it's historical, but if you check it out closer, that is a very common dress today. So anyway, somehow it's reading more historical. But it's about two MI6 agents that are situated in the UK. And they are sort of fighting their attraction for each other, along with an escaped convict who has a big thirst for revenge on getting one of the main characters back for putting them in prison. So that's a synopsis in a nutshell.
Okay. My book is Before the Fortress Falls. It came out last Friday, I think, was the official release date. Every edition has kind of had its own release date on that one. But it is about the 1683 siege of Vienna. The Ottoman army came in and they outnumbered the defenders. And it's about three siblings and a few of their friends trying to survive and navigate the siege. And you get a bunch of different angles of the historical event. So yeah, it's historical Christian fiction.
Awesome. I am excited to read both of them. I haven't had a chance to read them. That's my weekend plans. So I'm excited. So let's start with where everyone's from. Where are you guys from? I'm from Ogden, Utah. So that's where I'm coming from.
I'm from Virginia.
I'm tuning in from Alaska, and it's like 9:30 here. I took the kids to school and then hopped on the computer. So, Marilee, you want to go?
I am from Iowa.
I'm from a tiny little town in Southern California.
And I'm in Marrero, which is a small place across the river from New Orleans. So I usually just tell people I'm from New Orleans.
I feel like we've got a good mix of like different locations here. This is nice. Usually it's like everyone's from Utah, so it's not as fun. But where are you guys all from? If you guys want to pop in the comments and tell us where you're from, that would be fun to know.
Yeah, I'm seeing some Idaho so far. Yeah. There's Utah.
Yes.
So welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Well, this is so fun. I love seeing all these people in here. Hey, guys.
Got a Minnesota.
Minnesota. We've got one from Minnesota.
Texas.
Houston.
Texas. Yeah.
Missouri. Salt Lake. Texas. This is awesome. North Georgia.
Good. We got a good group of people here today.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want to explain what we're going to be doing today? For the next little part.
Sure. We're all a little bit tired, nervous here. Amanda, do you want to kind of lead off with this one?
Sure. Well, I think we were going to give each of our special guests, Marilee, Crystal, and Mara, a chance to, they've read both books. We found people who have read both books, and we were going to give them a chance to tell everyone who's joining us what they liked about them, what you can expect, kind of like a minute per book. And yeah, they can, Marilee, do you want to start with that?
Sure, I can unmute myself. Okay, Facing the Enemy, we'll do Paige's book first. What I love about Paige's books is she is a perfect blend of suspense and romance and mystery. They all just kind of weave together, and it leaves you with a story like you just can't put it down because you're excited about the romance that's happening, and then there's the suspense that's happening, and then the mystery. And I love the part of the books from the villain story, because then it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on in his head, but it makes it more suspenseful because you know what his plans are and you know what he's trying to do. And you just want to, scream at the other characters, watch out, he's coming, and you know what he's doing. But I it's just a perfect blend of all those different things together. Do you want me to do the other book, or should we have everybody do Paige's book first?
We're flexible.
Sorry, I mean, maybe if we do all one book, then people will not feel like they're getting whiplash. Is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll pick up with Facing the Enemy by Paige. I echo what Marilee said. Like, Paige has this way of writing romantic suspense that's like the perfect balance. There's like not too much romance and the perfect amount of suspense that like I'm constantly on the edge of my seat and I can't put her books down. So tip, don't start it at night because you're going to be reading all night long until you finished it. What I love about Facing the Enemy, honestly, my favorite part is Elise. I love her story. I love that she's like this really tough MI6 agent, but she has this softer side, like this maternal side that comes out with Sammy. I love peeling back all her layers and seeing what a well-faceted person she is. And like Marilee, I like that we have the different perspectives in the story so we can kind of see what's going on in everybody's head. But that's what I love the most about Facing the Enemy. And you're up, Mara.
There's not much left for me to say. Just echo what you and Marilee said, that, and I said it in my review on Goodreads, that the romance is there, but it doesn't take away from the suspense and it doesn't take away from the mystery. And I like getting the different points of view. I prefer multiple points of view in a book, so I know what the female character's thinking and I know what the male, so you don't have to figure, like, there's no, well, I wonder what he's thinking about what she's doing. And then we get to see what the bad guy is thinking but yet we still don't know his entire plan. I was like, okay, so he's mad at her, and it took me a while to figure out how, I forget his name because I get nervous. Harry, who I pictured in my mind as Pierce Brosnan, although Harry's not dark haired, but that's who I was picturing as I was reading Pierce Brosnan back in his Remington Steele days. As he's on the base on his undercover thing. And I wondered how that was going to tie in. And, but I loved Elise. I love characters that are so not like me. She's tall, she's redhead, she rides a motorcycle. I would never do any of those things. And I'm 5 feet tall and nowhere near could be an MI6 agent. But I love reading about characters that, are different than me and I can live through them and go, I could never do that. So, but yeah, everything you guys said, the suspense keeps me on the edge of my seat, but it's not overdone because sometimes it's like, that's not plausible. That was just too much suspense thrown at one time. And then the romance is still there and then it kind of gets left behind because of suspense. And then it's a great blend. I love Paige's books. And yeah, don't start them at night.
Mara, do you want to start with Before the Fortress Falls since you went last time?
So that one, I knew nothing about the siege on Vienna when I started. I do not remember studying this in school. It's been many, many years since world history, and I don't remember it at all. So I love learning through AL's books how history that I might have learned or things I didn't know or things I've forgotten. I loved Katya. How do you pronounce her name? Katya? I probably
yeah. Sorry, I'm unmuting. Yeah, Katya. Or Katya. Okay. Yeah.
I loved how every day she would climb that tower, even though she was scared of heights. Because I'm scared of heights, and I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm not climbing that tower just to look out and see what's going on out and about. I love that, and her violin. How she cared so much for this instrument that had been left by her father, and how she used it to help others. I loved how she was willing to help wherever she was needed, especially sewing those sandbags, even though she was terrible at it and she was so slow. She said her friend would sew like 5 of them in the time it took her to do like 1 or whatever it was. But she was just willing to be there and help. And then Toby, the same thing with him. I didn't realize that anything outside the city they were going to have to burn. And he had to burn his shop that he had worked so hard for to build. And it was his livelihood. And I was like, no, no. It was like heartbreaking. But then there were other touching moments when the siblings met. I love that. When the brothers reconciled. So yeah, great blend of the war but then the relationships of the siblings and their friend and with Toby. So great. I love how you do that in your books.
All right. So before the fortress falls, I felt like this book was such a great one for world building. Like I felt like I was in Vienna watching everything happen. Like I felt like I was a part of it so much. Like there were points in the book where I was like cringing, like, oh, something's exploding. Like it's happening around me. Like you, AL, you did such a fantastic job of building this world that I felt like I was right there. And that's my biggest takeaway is it was such great world building. I felt like I was a part of it. I loved the different characters. Katya, I loved that she trusted her gut and she was willing to take a risk because I'm not a risk taker. And hopped out of that carriage, right? And went back and was like, no, I need to stay here. And she trusted her gut. I loved that about her. I loved Toby. He was just like, he's that guy you just want to root for. Like he's kind, he's quiet, he's courageous, he's willing to do whatever is asked of him. He doesn't complain. I loved Toby, but I loved all the different perspectives. And I can't say enough about how much I loved this book. Sometimes historical books can be like a little too much for me where I'm like, there's too many details, but I just felt like I was learning, but like I felt like I was living the book at the same time, which I don't know if that makes any sense, but I really felt like I was living in this world. And my favorite part, as I told you earlier, is the violin. I love music and I love that the violin was so special to her that she was willing to take care of it. She was willing to carry it. And in the end, she was willing to use it in a way to help other people. So I loved the musical part and I loved the gentle faith that was kind of woven in there as well. So that's what I loved about Before the Fortress Falls.
So I absolutely love this book. Ale did a wonderful job. She takes this massive historical event and she puts a face on it. And she makes it a personal thing, just like Crystal was saying, you feel like you're there. And it's technically a war story, but it's also an underdog story, right? Who does not love a good underdog story, right? This small group of people inside the city against thousands and thousands of these trained soldiers. And it was so interesting to see the different perspectives, the 3 siblings, and then Toby, and then a soldier from the other side, and to see all of those together. But I love that it's more than just a war book. It's a book about bravery. It's a book about faith. It's a book about family and love and relationships and how to heal and how to forgive. And I was ugly crying by the end. I don't know about anybody else, but just so emotionally, just so wrapped up in these people in this story, and you feel like you're there. It's just this huge emotional roller coaster, but you don't want to get off because it's so amazing. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book.
Okay, now we're all blushing. Thanks. I think, do we get a prize? Is it time for a prize, Jessica?
I think it's definitely time for a prize. Let me show you what we're giving away today. So we've got Danger on the Lock. It's a finalist in the 15th Annual Whitney Awards, which are in May, right? For Mystery Suspense, and a finalist in the 2021 Reader's Favorite International Book Awards for Contemporary Romance. So, award-winning book, award-nominated book. You guys are definitely going to want that one. That one's fantastic if you haven't already read it. But let's play a game for that. And I don't know who's running this game, so somebody take over because I don't know which game we're playing.
Okay, I guess I could do this game. What we're gonna do is you guys can play along, but we're gonna have our guest bookstagrammers play this game, and we are gonna talk about food items from the books. So I'm gonna say a food type, and you guys can guess which book you think it's from. And it might not actually, like, some of them are a little tricky, some of them are related to the book, but not necessarily in the book, if that makes sense. Like, anyway, I might have to explain it later. So, sorry. So you guys all unmute. And everyone who's watching, you guys go ahead and play along and tell us what you think. If you want, you can use FTE for facing the enemy, or just enemy, or you could just write fortress, or BTFF if you don't want to write the whole book title out. But let's start. The first one, one of the books has squirrel on a spit with wild mushrooms. Which book do you think has squirrel on a spit with wild mushrooms?
Facing the enemy.
Facing the enemy.
It doesn't seem like that would be the answer. You haven't read the books, but.
Okay, well, you guys were right. That's it. And I don't know, maybe I should wait longer. I'm not sure how long I should wait. So, yes. So that's from Facing the Enemy. Paige, do you want to tell us a little bit about that scene without any spoilers?
They do a thing in Scotland called wild camping, and I don't want to say why they're doing this, but Elise has to find her own food, and this is what she found. So that's what they're eating.
But I love that it's like garnished with mushrooms. That's awesome. It sounds all fancy. Wow.
They have a lot of wild mushrooms over there.
Okay. We saw some mushrooms on the way home from school yesterday. It was really exciting. I'm not sure if it's a mushroom that survived like 6 months of snow or if it's just a new one, but my son was obsessed with mushrooms last year, so we were excited to see more. Okay, next item, tea. Which book do you think has a connection to tea?
But both of them.
I was going
Do you want us to wait a minute this time?
Yeah, let's wait a minute. So, oh, sorry, I'm seeing Nancy says, sounds lovely, not about the squirrel in it. Yes.
That's what I thought.
Agree.
Have you ever eaten squirrel, Paige?
No, but I know some people out here that have.
My husband has. He's killed them and cooked them, and he was forbidden to do it anymore in the house.
Oh.
They don't smell bad. I just
rabbits, and those aren't too weird, at least in some contexts. But on the other hand, like it's like a rodent, and
I know.
In West Virginia, they eat squirrel, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Okay,
we
so
have somebody that
final
says-
answer for T.
We have
Both of
Fortress
them.
by Caitlin, and Winnie Thomas says the enemy. Let's see.
And someone who's actually eaten squirrel. Awesome.
Oh,
Right. For T, it is actually Facing the Enemy. So they're in Scotland, British Isles, lots of tea all the time. So next, let's do croissant. The croissant is related to which book? I feel like we need some music in the background, like Jeopardy music or something. Maybe next time we'll get that ready. We're a little new at running launch parties, Paige and I, so next time we'll try to add some fun music maybe.
oh, there we go. Let's see. We have, it's a mixed bag on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a trick question or not.
That's what I was thinking. I think they're trying to trick us.
That's what I thought
Well,
about.
we did want to make it a little challenging,
right?
like we didn't want to be too easy.
I'm thinking.
Like we didn't want to throw out like Oreos, because obviously Oreos weren't around in 1683. So.
Give me Oreos, then I can know the answer.
Okay, right now we're on croissants.
Sabrina's saying, what was it again? Croissant.
Yeah.
Which book?
All right. Are you guys ready to guess our bookstagram victims?
I'm going to guess Facing the Enemy this time. I'm going to go with the obvious choice.
I'm going with the obvious too, Facing the Enemy. Watch me be wrong.
Facing the Enemy.
Okay. Yeah, that one's actually from mine. And why it is during the siege and the research, they weren't sure if it was the 1683 siege by the Turks or if there was also a siege by the Turks, I think in 1529. During one of those sieges, they started baking the rations in a crescent shape because the crescent was on the Turkish flag outside. And it was kind of a reminder, yes, this is why we're having rations, because the Turks are outside our city. So that is kind of the origin of the croissant. It's probably not the really delicious, buttery, fluffy one that you get at Costco, because they were probably using like really old flour and, stuff because siege. But that's kind of the origin of the crescent shaped roll. So that's where that came from. All right, ready for a new one? How about steak? Which book has more of a tie to steak?
You're muted.
Crystal, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I feel like it could be both from different scenes, and you're driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry. I know. Well, and I haven't read Paige's book yet, so yeah. Sorry, we weren't able to coordinate that, like which ones might be confusing versus not confusing. So, see, we're getting enemy is what I'm seeing.
Right. I keep trying to think of Wilhelm and his scenes away, because that wasn't rations. That was other stuff.
Yeah, and maybe not just Anyway, well, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I have a reason for why I think what I think, but
I agree.
Well, explain your reasoning too, because that's exciting. It'll be people can get into your head and understand your reasoning.
Well, this one is actually, they could be right both ways, Amanda.
Okay.
I just want to say it's both books, and I have my reason.
Okay. Well, how about this, Paige? You explain why it would be right for your book, and I'll explain why it would be right for my book. And everyone's right. Yay!
Yeah, there is a scene in mine where Harry is barbecuing steak. So out on the back deck. So
okay. And mine, there were a couple raids where usually it was like the students, the university students, they were they would when the Turks came in, the different guilds and different industries would form these little units to fight together. So you'd have like the shoemakers guild was one of the units defending the walls. And they put most of those units like in the areas where the big attacks weren't coming. And they put the professional soldiers where the attacks were coming. But the students several times went out of the walls and they grabbed some of the cattle from the Ottoman Turks and brought them into the city. And usually what would happen then is the commander of the siege would distribute the meat, and most of it would go to like the wounded recovering soldiers, and then whoever had stolen the stuff from the Turks could get some too. So you can kind of imagine like university students being like, I'm sick of this siege food, let's go steal some cattle. So sorry that we're doing some tricky ones. Let's do another one. We did tea, let's do cappuccino. Again, sorry, we need some good music.
Yeah, we do.
I feel like these are trick questions.
Yes, because I'm starting to overthink every food that they put. Sorry. I need to go with my gut.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking cappuccino in 1683.
Exactly. That doesn't sound right. It sounds very contemporary.
And yet she managed to tie in croissants to the story.
And steak. Who thought you'd eat steak during the siege?
I should have said beef instead.
Yeah.
Learning to, because I didn't know that they, I don't know how they.
So many things today.
None of my
I've seen a
research
lot of
goes
enemies on
how
there.
Everybody says enemy. I want to go with what everybody's with the masses because I just don't picture cappuccino in 1683.
I'm going with Mara. I'm going
Yeah,
with
Mara's phoning a friend on this one.
Okay. There actually is a tie to the Siege of Vienna because when
Of
when
course,
the Turks were driven
We're all
away, they
learning
had all
today.
their tents there and they had coffee in their tents, all these coffee beans, which was not really common in Europe at that time. But all of a sudden, they had all of these bags of coffee beans, and one of the Capuchin monks took the coffee beans and added milk and honey to it to make it sweeter. And that's kind of the origin of the cappuccino. It's not the same spelling that we use today, and it's not, I'm sure it doesn't taste exactly the same, but that was where it started.
I said
I've
trick.
been tricked. I've been tricked.
Sorry. I know, we're kind of
Nancy Madsen, she's got this funny face. What? This is awesome.
But yeah, sorry, we're kind of mean. We like get you guys to come on here and say all these nice things about our books, and then to repay you, we trick you. So
Yeah.
sorry about that. I think, oh, we've got two more. So Pheasant. Which book do you think has a tie to pheasant? Okay, Kylie is saying Fortress.
I think I'm going to go with the less obvious choice on this one.
Yeah,
I've been wrong every time I've done it, but
I was thinking the same thing you were, though, Marilee. I was thinking Facing the Enemy, but I should be thinking Fortress, so I'm going to go with Facing the Enemy, and if I'm wrong, chalk it up to me being wrong again.
Wait,
I promise we
one of my
read the
friends
book.
says, I know that one. It's enemy. And so
We're right. Mara knows.
no, I don't know. But my
I
friend
would know
Melissa
one of us
says
knew.
it's
We've got
enemy.
somebody going, Fortress. Oh, both.
Yeah,
I could see both, but I want to say Facing the Enemy, and I don't know.
because I'm thinking
that's what I think. I think it's
like
facing
with
the
the
enemy.
cattle. I'm thinking, okay, they found a bird, but then in enemy, when they're in the forest, they're doing the camping. I'm thinking bird, enemy. I'm sticking to it. That's my final answer.
So should we answer this one?
Yeah, why don't you take this one, Paige?
It is Facing the Enemy. It was roadkill, remember? That bird hit the front of the car. Yeah. And she was pretty clever with realizing that she might need that food. So she brought it with them and cooked it. So squirrels and pheasants in the forest. Yum.
Yeah. And this is why I don't camp.
Yeah.
If you're really hungry because there's a really evil villain chasing you,
Yes.
right? So the last food item is roof hares.
What is it?
Roof hares. Like rabbits on the rooftop. Sorry, the comments. That book sure includes appetizing meals. And it's got a green face. Yeah.
Marilee's face.
Hope you already had lunch, you guys.
No.
I'm seeing green faces. Nancy Madsen. It's appetizing.
Yeah, a lot of Fortress. It's got to be Fortress. Where would roof?
That's what I'm going with.
I know, but are they trying to trick us again? And I'm overthinking it, and I'm like,
I
it's
know.
Fortress, but it's probably Enemy.
They look so innocent, but they're tricky.
All right, final guesses.
I'm going to go with
Caitlin
Enemy.
says, "Oh, I know that one. Fortress."
I'm going Fortress.
I'm going
Final
with
answer.
Caitlin. Final answer.
And that's correct. The roof hares were what they called cats when they were desperate for food. So, yummy.
Poor kitties.
I'd Pandora.
But I mean, you know, Kitty, you're the person who has to eat and survive and stay alive. You know,
I don't want to eat a cat.
No,
I wouldn't want to eat a cat either.
no, most
And I
definitely.
actually didn't have any of the characters eat it, at least on Paige. So.
Thank you.
The Shore family was wealthy enough; they had like salted pork in the basement. They were good for a while. So
That's right.
We have a really fun game coming up. I don't think we've ever played this one on Wholesome Romance before, have we?
I don't think so. I think first we should do a prize, though.
Yeah.
We'll do a prize and then go on to the next game, and maybe Paige can be charge of that one.
So are we going to pick a winner for? Is that what we're doing? Is picking a winner?
Yeah, let's do a winner for Danger on the Walk. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to win a book? Everyone?
There's a lot of names on there. Jessica gets to be the bad guy.
Oh, I can. Or am I the good guy? And I get to like.
Good guy. Yeah, there we go. She gets to be the good guy.
Okay, let me just kind of scroll through this randomly. So.
I swore you said squirrel instead of
Squirrel.
squirrel. What you guys have done to me.
I think we traumatized you with squirrels.
Did you see one of the comments when you asked about tea? Somebody said, I thought you said teeth.
Oh,
Sorry. That's why I'm not an audiobook narrator.
little calcium there.
That's nasty. Okay, here's the winner. It's Winnie Thomas.
Yay!
Winnie Thomas, yay!
So if you just want to message Wholesome Romance and send me your shipping info, I will send that out to you next week. Perfect. Okay, let's explain the next. Are we okay? Is this? Yeah, let's. Do you want to explain the game and then I will show the prize for the next one?
Paige, do you want to do this one?
Sure. What we did was we decided to turn it over to our Bookstagrammers to do a celebrity casting and then let you guys vote on the final character vote for each one of our main characters. So we have Crystal. Do you want to share your ideas for Elise? And then we'll have Marilee share her ideas for Katya. And then Crystal will share her ideas for Toby, and Marilee will share her ideas for Harry. And you guys will vote for each one. So when they put up the pictures and they tell you about the person, you pick which one of the two celebrities you would pick for that character. Does that make sense?
So
Okay.
I'm
So there's
starting
going to be
with
a
Toby, right?
graphical pop-up that has the character name, the actors' names, and like choice 1 or 2. So
Yeah.
maybe put like Elise number 1 or 2, and
Yeah, there we
that's
go.
probably the
Thanks.
quickest one if you go the character name and then the option you like. So
Yeah. So character name and then which number you would pick for that person. So I guess we start with Crystal. You want to give us a rundown on Elise? And
So we're starting with Elise. So Lady Elise Henderson is the daughter of a Scottish Marquess. She's also known as Agent Elise Taylor. She's almost 6 feet tall. She has long red hair, pale blue eyes. She's gorgeous, athletic. She intimidates most men with her skill sets and has a sharp mind. Not only is she a great shot with a gun, but her specialty weapon is knives. As a top MI6 operative, which is the equivalent to a US CIA agent, she's ultra competitive, fiercely loyal, utterly committed to her country, to the point of excluding her personal life. At the beginning of the story, she's a lapsed Christian who, through the faith of a little child, regains her own. When Elise loves, she loves the same way, fiercely. She is multifaceted like a diamond. She has so many qualities to her that are admirable and so many sides to see. She sweetens under the heat of pressure, and then the real Elise emerges, the one who yearns to be a mother and have a husband who loves her. I love that Elise is so much more than meets the eye. The beauty to her journey is watching it all unfold. to see each facet of her and how she isn't just strong and tough, but emotional and maternal. Elisa's story is an emotional one I wasn't expecting, and I loved it.
Okay, we've got, wow, this is kind of a mixed bag here.
Mm-hmm. I love Kylie's comment that number 1 looks like she could handle a knife.
Yeah, she looks kind of rough, doesn't she?
That's why I picked her. When I saw that actress, I'm like, she looks like she could take somebody down.
Okay, Jessica, do you want to pick this one?
Ooh.
So this we can, I think we've got this written down to announce the winners later.
Okay.
So people can keep voting for a
We can
while.
keep voting. Okay, that's right. This is
So we
the
can move
online
on to the
vote.
next
Sorry,
character
guys.
and people could. So especially now that we're gonna start on the next character, maybe make sure in your answers you put which character you're talking about. So that, yeah, you can keep voting, but that way we don't get confused with which character you're voting for. So.
Okay, the next one up is Marilee, and she's going to share her ideas for Katya.
Okay, Katya's score. Am I saying that right, Amanda?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Katya's sure. Okay, she has brown hair, brown eyes. She is close with her twin brother Xavier and her older brother Wilhelm, and they are orphans. She loves to play the violin. She learned to play from her father, and she loves it so much that she decided to go back to Vienna even though she had a chance to leave, rather than leave her violin behind. During the siege, she struggles to maintain her hope and her faith that they could make it out, but and learn some great lessons along the way, and is able to help other people through her faith. She doesn't just want to sit around doing nothing. She stays busy. She's sewing handbags and then volunteers in the hospital, even though her hands are raw and aching and red every day. She keeps going rather than give up. She faces her fears and climbs the tower every day so she can see what's going on with the siege. She's scared of loving and losing, but ultimately her faith and her hope went out.
And that looks like it's kind of mixed too. So
I was going to say lots of both.
yeah.
And this is going to be fun. We've got a lot of different options.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is for Toby.
All right. I've got Toby, which, let's see. Toby has fair hair and green eyes. He's a joiner and a woodworker. His father died in the war against the Turks when he was a boy, and his mom struggled financially to provide for her family. He had a relative who worked for the Sowards and met the twins that way, and he spent a lot of his childhood with them. He did an apprenticeship, and then he was a journeyman. And finally, he gets his own shop, but then he has to burn it down because it's on the outside of the wall, and they have to destroy the neighborhood because it's not defensible. And they don't want to leave anything that the Turks might be able to use. And that was such a heartbreaking moment in the book when he has to burn his own shop down that he worked so hard for. He's loved Katya for years, but he knows the difference in their social stations mean he doesn't have a chance. He gets roped into countermining because no one in the city really knows how to do it, but they need people who are willing to try. And he's such a hard worker and so motivated to do all he can to protect the city. He's on the quiet side. He has strong faith. He's gentle, kind, and unassuming. He has a big heart and incredible courage. He loves hard and he gives freely. He's the kind of guy you want to root for. And that's Toby.
Are we allowed to vote?
Sure. We want to hear
Yeah,
your
I think you
vote.
totally are.
I think option number 1. That's how I pictured Toby.
I agree.
Well, and I think we all need to picture them in like 17th century clothing too, right? That was a little tricky.
Okay, Marilee, your ideas for Harry, would you like to share those?
All right. Harry Benson. He is 6'3", nice and tall, sandy blonde hair, gray eyes, and he has a crooked incisor, which is kind of adorable. He's very athletic, extremely competitive. He's kind of an adrenaline junkie, which makes his current career a good choice for him. He's former military intelligence, and he's served several tours of duty in the Middle East. He's newly divorced, a single father. His former spouse cheated on him, which kind of leaves him with some baggage, some scars there. So he's a single father trying to balance his desire to serve his country and the duty that he feels towards that, as well as maintain a good relationship with his son. He's got a great sense of humor. He's close to his parents who help him out with their grandson. And Elise was the love of his life. And he is more than thrilled to have a chance to be in close proximity to her again and have a chance at winning her back.
And the obvious choice is option number 1, Chris Hemsworth. The end.
Crystal said we should only have one option on this one.
Crystal's going with Chris. I'm going with option 2. I think he looks like an MI6 agent.
They're both super handsome, so you really can't.
They are.
Someone
I mean, it
says,
is Chris
oh
Hemsworth.
gosh, how do I pick?
This is fun.
And Shaylin says, Harry, number 1. Hemsworth always gets my vote.
Like
Sounds
Crystal.
about right to me.
And then Maylin says, Harry too fits my mind, although I love Chris Hemsworth. This is
I don't
cute.
think you can vote wrong on this one.
No.
I just don't
No.
think you
This
can.
was fun. We just thought you guys would enjoy this. It's going to be
Some
fun
eye
to see which
candy.
one wins out in each category.
Okay, so I will calculate those winners after we're done playing a couple more games, just to give you guys some extra time to vote. Are we doing the grand prize for this one, or is it something else?
I think this one we were gonna. Oh, so I had us down for doing a sword and shadow for a
Okay.
prize now, just from someone who commented.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that. So for anybody who commented, we can pick a winner right now. This is what you'll be getting. And this is of Sword and Shadow. It's a finalist in the 15th Annual Whitney Awards, gold medal winner in the 2021 Reader's Favorite International Book Awards for Christian Historical Fiction. And it is absolutely wonderful. You guys are going to want this one. Someone else want to pick a winner this time? So it's not all just me spreading the joy.
Let's let one of our bookstagrammers do it.
Yes. Marilee, do you want to pick?
Sure. Just scroll back up and pick somebody who commented
Mhm.
on the pictures. And we'll stop there. Crystal Butler.
Good job, Crystal. You have a great name.
Spelled differently, but it is a pretty name.
So just send a message to the Wholesome Romance page, and I will send you your prize.
Very fun. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Okay, I think we're moving on to our next one on quotes. So this is another tricky one. I think you guys will get this though.
So yeah, we've got 6 quotes. You just guess which book the quote came from. The quotes will have a number, so write like the number and then if you think enemy or fortress maybe. And Mara has offered to read these quotes for us. So
are you just going to pop them? Are they going to be up on a graphic, or am I just reading them?
we don't
All
have
right.
a graphic for it.
I wasn't sure. Okay,
Sorry.
quote number 1. When I take that kiss, you won't need to bribe me. and give them some time, I guess. Oh, there they go. I was like, I don't see comments.
Yeah, now they're popping up.
Yeah, it took them a while.
Yep, there.
I think everybody knows that one.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite quotes from the book.
That was a graphic that made its rounds.
It did. It is a great quote.
I used it multiple times because it's so good.
It is.
Okay, are we ready for number 2 or should I wait?
Yeah, maybe say what the answer is, and then although everyone seems to know it, so
Yeah, no surprises on that one.
Yeah, that was Facing the Enemy. Although I did see somebody say Fortress.
yeah, I mean the books are really new. Most people haven't had a chance to read them yet. So
Mhm.
unless you have seen the quotes in graphics that we posted, it's.
And it's, if you're
Yeah.
there like me, you read and my brain forgets. It has to make more room for like the next book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, quote number 2. This one I thought was easy. I can't promise that the city won't fall or that I won't die tomorrow. I can't promise to be there for you whenever you need me, but I can promise to love you until my last breath.
Swoon. Insert a swoon.
That was a graphic too.
That's a good quote.
Somebody even knows who said it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, most people are guessing Fortress.
Yes. And some people are saying the character and going, "Aw."
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
very romantic.
Lots
Yes,
of
and that's a
swoon.
great line. Oh, somebody, Nancy Madsen says, I said Fortress because I read the quote, but it must have been from a graphic. So she might not have gotten to the book yet. But yeah, if you're on Facebook with all those quotes that were coming for Teaser Tuesdays, then that was one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, this one, number 3, quote number 3. Love can make things more painful because fear of losing it is so sharp. But love is also what makes life so beautiful and sweet. Sometimes it's the only thing that makes it worth the struggle. It's another good one.
I'm pretty sure I know this one. I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah, I know.
But really, that quote could kind of apply to both books.
It could.
That's what I was thinking.
They're finally coming through.
You could go either way for that one.
And someone said this quote works with thoughts from both books. It does. Yes, Julie's right. It works for both, but it only came from one. It looks like overwhelmingly they're saying Fortress.
Yeah.
And it is Fortress, right? Because I didn't get the answers. I was given quotes. And I'm looking going, yeah, I think I remember the scene where this one was.
You didn't get the cheat sheet, Mara.
I didn't get the cheat sheet. I just got the quotes. Okay. Quote number 4. Oh, goodness. The minutes lengthened like mellow drops of gold, gilding the moment forever in his mind's eye. And that's what my face looks like.
I'm like, don't remember that quote. So I'm a little lost on that one.
I'm lost.
I have a guess.
Which doesn't bode well for the 3 of us.
Marilee probably knows it. Come on, Marilee.
Guess
With her super brain.
But I'm not certain like I was on the other ones.
Well, Paige and
I'm
Amanda are
looking.
going to have to help us out.
Good thing we have the authors here, right?
That's right.
Yeah, good thing.
No, that's why there is no
There was a
cheat sheet.
graphic
Because
with
right
this
now.
one.
So.
I don't remember the graphic with this one.
Was there a graphic for this quote and I don't remember?
There was a graphic.
I remember seeing
The one
one.
with the bridge, the graphic with the bridge. There was a graphic with a bridge. I remember using it.
Next time we do a launch party, we'll have the graphics and we'll like post them.
Yeah, there we go. That would be good. They could read it and look at it at the same time.
Now, I bet
Sorry,
everybody at
guys.
home is like scrolling through all their graphics. Overwhelmingly, they're saying enemy, facing the enemy. But then somebody else is saying fortress, that gilding is an art-like term.
That one's from Facing the Enemy.
Facing the enemy.
Someone goes, oh, good, I remembered right. Okay. Oh, this is a short one. Quote number 5. I'll always be on your side. I should have spent time last night looking these up.
I know. You should have sent them to me to look up. Some of these are tricky because you feel like either main character in the stories could have said them.
Right, because of the things that were going on.
Yes.
It's pretty unanimous. They're saying
Quote number
fortress.
5, they're saying fortress. Fortress. I don't remember this in fortress.
Fortress was my guess, so I hope that's right.
See, and I was going to go with enemy.
I was thinking it fit either because of her situation. I was thinking toward the end, he might have said that to her.
That's true. It could have worked on that one too.
But
All right.
everybody's saying, someone goes, no, Shaylin goes, no idea. Enemy?
I love
Are
no
we
idea.
ready for the answer?
The answer seems to be they're saying fortress.
It is, and it's actually not Toby. It's Katya's brother says that to her. Xavier says that.
Toward the
Xavier.
end.
I loved Xavier.
Me too.
He's a good character.
Okay, last quote. I knew this one. I got it because of one word in it. Number 6, he started toward her, his eyes never leaving hers, alert, intent, his steps measured and quiet on the peat.
Okay, I know this one. I think the same word that tipped you off, Mara. I think that's what tipped me off too.
Yeah.
Same here. And so far, everyone's overwhelmingly saying the same thing.
Yes. Yep.
Everyone so far has said facing the enemy. I don't see one fortress.
Sabrina says, such a great scene.
I agree.
Oh, somebody needs to repeat quote 6. Her computer froze. Quote, gotta go back. Quote 6 is, he started toward her, his eyes never leaving hers. Alert, intent, his steps measured and quiet on the peat.
Lisa says, I'll put it fortress. It's a different one. Way to go, Lisa. Like it.
So overwhelmingly, yes, it was enemy, facing the enemy. Great, and they were right. It's great. It's a great scene.
It is.
Okay. Well, that's our quote game. Thank you, Mara, for reading all of those. And thank you, everyone, for guessing. And time for another prize, Jessica?
Yeah. Okay, this is our next one of Daggers and Deception. This one's also fantastic. You guys definitely want to read these. And Mara, do you want to pick the winner since you're the one who did the quotes?
Oh, goodness. Just scroll.
Yep, just scroll through and pick somebody.
I will close my eyes and just scroll. Because there's just so many names. Okay, scrolling. Let's see. Oh, heck, where's my mouse? There it is. Oh, that's not even the right one. I scrolled too far. I was just scrolling away. Let's see. I just don't want to make somebody mad. Ah, my mouse is going crazy when it does that thing where it just keeps scrolling. Let's see, because it went way too far. How about Shaylin?
Okay.
Shaylin Sermon Maxwell. Unless she already has the book. She may.
All right, send me your shipping address and I'll send that out to you.
Congrats. Awesome. Hey.
Yeah, we have a couple of people saying that one is so good. I agree.
It is so good.
They're both good. They're all good.
Well, they're all good because I've read them all.
Same.
Okay, well, the next part, if any audience members have, sorry, I've got something in my throat. If you have questions for Paige or I, you can go ahead and put those in the comments and we will try to answer those. And otherwise, Jessica has a few questions for us. And
yeah, their questions may arise after we start answering some of Jessica's.
Right.
Okay, I can start asking questions and then give you guys time to think of stuff. So I'll start with Paige. Where did you get your story idea?
Oh, that's a tough one. Most of you know I write Christian fiction. So I spend a lot of time before I actually start my books. I do a lot of praying and thinking about what do I want my theme to be for this story before I craft a plot and characters around them. So that's kind of where I usually start. And then after that, either a character will jump out at me out of nowhere or I don't know, or a plot line will kind of start taking effect in my mind. But this time it was actually a setting that kind of jumped out at me after I came up with a theme for this story. And my husband and I were driving on these curvy roads in the Scottish borders. And the Scottish borders is like a county in Scotland that borders England, but there are others that border England as well. So we were in the Scottish borders driving around, and we came around this curve, and out in the middle of this beautiful meadow was this castle. And I remember gasping because we'd been surrounded by all these trees and hills and stuff, and then it just opened up. And I thought, oh my goodness, that needs to be a setting in a book. And that was where Torwoodley Castle came to be. I just needed to teleport it to a different location to work for my story. So that's where that idea kind of generated from.
Okay, and then let's see, we've got some questions going on now. So let me find them. I like this one. I want to know this one myself. This is for both of you. When are your next books being announced? But yeah, I can't wait to put them on my calendar. What are you guys working on?
Let Amanda field this one first. You're muted.
Whoops. That's why I write historical fiction, because I'm not that great at technology, right? But yeah, I have a book that's turned in and it's scheduled for, I think, next March. Sometimes those will shift a month or two, but yeah, early 2023. And it is World War I, the Russian Revolution, Russian Civil War, and the Czechoslovak Legion. And it's kind of like the Siege of Vienna, I really wanted to do a story about the Siege of Vienna. This one, I really want to do a story about the Czechoslovak Legion, and so that's where that one came from. And I'm also working on a spin-off novel for Heirs of Falcon Point, and I haven't been doing a whole lot of it the last few weeks because I've been doing a book release stuff, but I'm excited to get back to working on that and turning it in. So.
And I have an anthology coming out this fall with Tracy Abramson and Claire Polson. It's called Sinister Secrets. So that comes out in September. And then I just submitted a manuscript for my Presley Coombs series with Ben's story. So hopefully I'll be told soon when that's going to happen. So, and I'm writing right now a book magnet for my newsletter people, and it's how Elise and Harry met in college. So if you're on my newsletter, you'll get that in the next little while. I'm about halfway through that reader magnet. So
we have lots of fun things to look forward to. I'm excited. Okay. Let's see. I think this one is like a very important question for us to ask AL. Can you tell us about your donations for Ukraine?
Yeah. When I wrote Before the Fortress Falls, it's kind of crazy. I wrote it during the early days of the pandemic, and then it's coming out during a war in Europe again. And I don't know, just there are wars going on all the time, but this one in Ukraine really hit me hard. I think because the people living there, their lives were very similar to mine. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. In January, their lives were so much like mine. And I've read about wars in that part of the world before, and I hate to see it happening again. So if you buy my book or listen to it on Bookshelf Plus, it's not there yet, but hopefully it will be there soon. Anything that I get from this book through the end of April, I'm going to donate to charities that are working with the refugee crisis in and around Ukraine. So if you're thinking about getting it, get it before the end of the month, and you'll also be helping the situation in Ukraine. So.
And could I seg into that a little bit? Because this just really refugee situation, I've been working with them for years, and this is so near and dear to my heart. When I heard Amanda was doing that, I just wanted to stand up and jump. I'm president of our Interfaith Community Council out here in my region. And as such, we do a lot of humanitarian projects year round with this. And because I was heading this up, I was asked to sit on another board that deals with refugees for Northern Virginia. And so every quarter we get an influx of refugees here, and we, our group houses them. We get mentors for them. We get translators for them, and we help them find employment, just this whole thing to help settle them here. And these people have spent years in these camps, in tent camps. So we were asking about the refugees in Ukraine, but only those, at least in our area, that are coming at this point in time are those that have family here in the US. The rest will have to stand in line. But these people that come to the United States are so thankful to come to our country. They all pray that this is the country they get to go to. But like I said, they are in those tent cities for years before they are placed. It's just heartrending. So I get really snippy hearing that Amanda's doing this because I'm on this other side working with refugees here. And so, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's amazing. I have loved being able to tell customers what you're doing, and everybody's just so excited that there's a way for them to, help. Because a lot of the times they just don't know where to turn. They don't know, they want to help. They just don't know where to go, where they're going to make sure that their money is being used properly.
Exactly.
So this is a very, very lovely way for them to feel involved and for them to be able to do stuff. And I know people have come back in and they're like, okay, I need to get this for my friend because they've read it and they've loved it. And they're like, plus it's for a good reason. It's just a great, great thing you're doing. So I admire you both for that. Okay, let's do find another question. Okay. We'll do this one for Paige. What can you tell us about the book's settings? You kind of mentioned a little bit about the castle, but I want to hear more about that.
Oh, golly. The castle, I love castles. I'm sort of obsessed with them. And every time we go to the UK, I spend probably half my time touring castles. So sorry, guys, you're always going to see some type of a castle or an estate home in one of my books because I'm, like I said, kind of obsessed with them. Another setting that takes place in the book is actually up in the Highlands because this castle where Elise lives is actually in the lowlands. It's in the Scottish borders. So when she has to flee, she goes up into the Highland Perthshire area. And I always try, being half Scots, I always try and insert a little bit of my family history just as a fun little sideline into my stories. And the Tay Forest Park, where Elise goes, is 6 different parks, but one of the parks has a place inside of it that's very special. And it's called the Hermitage. And one of my ancestors went all through Europe gathering seeds and trees and different samples of things, even as far east as St. Petersburg, and brought them back and planted them there. And the areas that he couldn't reach, he literally got a cannon out and shot the seeds up onto the crags and the hillsides. And they took hold, and those trees are some of the tallest trees in the UK. So that's kind of fun because that was my ancestor that did that. So just a fun little thing.
That's a fun tie-in. I like that a lot. Okay, and then for Amanda, let's see. We'll do, why did you want to write this story?
I heard about the Siege of Vienna. I think I'd heard a little bit about it in school, but my husband and I were watching this series of lectures, and we watch history documentaries together because we're kind of nerds like that. But this series was the Decisive Battles of World History, and after learning about this one, I was like, that's so cool. I want to write that story because it kind of reminded me of the Two Towers and the Lord of the Rings, more the movie than the book, but you have the Battle of Helm's Deep where the people are just doing all they can to survive, but they just keep getting pushed back and back and back because the enemy is so overwhelming. And if they lose, the consequences are death, slavery, destruction. And yeah, just super high stakes. And it was real. The Siege of Vienna. So I wanted to bring that bit of history to life, and I hadn't seen a lot of fictional versions of it. So yeah, I'm excited that I could do it, and there aren't a lot of other books out there. So
it's always nice to get a book that has like something new, something fresh. So that's always great. Okay, this one's for both of you, and this is, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Which of your characters would you like to spend the day with?
The one I'm writing right now, so she could tell me all about her job so I didn't have to do the research for it.
That would be nice, right? You could just interview
Right.
it, write it all down, not have to worry.
Yep. But you guys haven't met. Actually, it's Millie from Heirs of Falcon Point. She's in there for one scene, but most of you won't probably remember her because there are a lot of characters in that book. So
that's fun. I think I would spend the day with Sammy. I know everybody go, oh, why? He's crazy. But I actually created him for my very first novel, which is Catherine's Intrigue. And he was 6 years old in that one. And I took 3 of my grandsons and kind of globbed him together and created this little Superboy. So I love him because he's 3 of my grandsons. So yeah, I'd probably spend the day with Sammy.
Sorry, I'm scrolling through the questions and comments to find a good one. Okay, this one is for Amanda. It just disappeared on me, so let me see if I can find it again. Okay, there we go. What was the research like for the siege?
I do a lot of research for all of my books. This one wasn't as bad, honestly, as some of the other books I've done because it's a 2-month period that I was focused on. And so it's kind of like, I know in World War II, there's so many things going on in so many different places. You have to know all that stuff before you really dive into, the Battle of the Bulge or whatever. But with the Siege of Vienna, it was just the Siege of Vienna. And I wish there were more firsthand accounts. There was one journal that I was able to read through by someone who was in the city at the time, but most of it was just reading through the existing nonfiction books out there. So it was, I did a lot of research, and it was a little confusing sometimes because different books would have different numbers, and the date would be off slightly because it's so far in the past. But yeah, it was interesting to read about the book, or to read about the event, and to kind of figure out how I could get various characters to be involved in different aspects of the siege. So.
Okay. This one's for both of you. It's kind of a follow-up to that question. How much time do you guys spend on each book for research?
Paige, do you want to start?
The book. Yeah, I do spend quite a bit of time on research. I don't know, probably a month or so, 6 weeks. Just gathering facts and information before I start writing, so I feel like I'm immersed in where I am. No, Amanda, you?
I don't think I've ever kept track of how long, because I do some research before I start, and then once I get into the story, I usually find I need more research. I'm like, oh, well, what were they eating? What were they wearing? Yeah. I've got the political stuff figured out, but everything else is a little bit, sometimes I have to go back and find that. So I don't know. I mean, I might read 20 research books for a book. I usually have all my research in one document, so I can do a search, like a search for word like food or a certain historical character, which gets tricky when there's more than one spelling for last names, just saying. But usually those, all of my notes are usually as long as my novels. So it's like 80,000 to 120,000 words of notes that I've either copied from, in my Kindle, I can highlight stuff. So I like researching on Kindle books because I can highlight it and email it to myself. Or I'll copy and paste stuff from the internet, or I'll take notes by hand if it's a book if it's a physical paper book that I'm reading. So
I research similarly too. Yeah. And I use Scrivener and put all my notes in there. And I've got so many, I kind of like your idea, Amanda, and just put it in one Word document so you can research the word, because I've just had all these different captions for each thing, and it's getting ridiculous. So yeah, I need to come up with a new plan.
Yeah, I didn't always do that, but I got sick of looking at each file for each book, and so.
Yeah.
Okay, and then question for Paige: what tropes or themes do you include in your book?
Oh, in this one, definitely it was a second chance romance, first love kind of thing, because like I said before, Harry and Elise met each other the first week of when she went to university. And then also I use the redemption. Some people use it as a trope. I use redemption as more of a theme in the book, because Elise starts the story as a lapsed Christian, and you see her slowly, just lightly developing and regaining her faith as the story progresses, and accepting the Lord's hand in her life with some of the things which have occurred to her. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Do our bookstagrammers have any questions? Marilee, Crystal, Mara, questions?
No, I was going to tell you guys I have to run, but thank you so much for having me. I would ask questions, but I've got to go.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for joining us, Crystal.
Yes,
Sorry,
you guys
I
are
gotta cut
awesome.
out.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I was going to tell Paige I really liked how Sammy kind of had a hand in that with Elise, where he had a prayer and then they ran into her car, hit that bird. Well, she hits the bird and then she asked him and he had prayed. And I really liked how his childlike faith helped guide her back, kind of. It was one of the things.
Thank you.
I was just curious if Paige did any hands-on research. Like, did you go fly a drone or do anything like that?
I have actually.
Yeah.
And I do my own research, and I do a lot of my own research. Yeah. So it's kind of fun. My husband has several drones, different kinds. So I play with his toys.
I'm glad he lets you.
I crash it a lot more than it actually flies.
Okay. I think we should give away another book.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm scrolling through to pick somebody. I thought I grabbed a copy of this book, but I apparently didn't. But it's Deadly by Design by Paige Edwards. So we're giving away that one. And let's do...
And Elise is in that one too.
Yes. All right here. Okay. All right, you are our winner. If you just want to message the Wholesome Romance page, your shipping information, and I'll send that out to you. Okay. And then did you guys want to announce the grand prize? Before we all... Oh, I actually got winners. I've got winners for the content or the characters. Let me tell you who won. So,
Okay.
we want to know that. For Elise, it was option number 2. For Katia, it was option number 2. For Toby, it was option number 1. And for Harry, it was option number 2. Everybody really liked the second options for all of them. They were really close, though.
Those were all my picks too.
You picked good.
But I feel bad
Crystal
for
will
Crystal.
be upset.
Yes, Kristen. That
I found the picture of the guy who won, but I had no clue who he was. I was just like Googling blonde with gray eyes, and this guy popped up. And then in the chat, they're like, we need names of these people. I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is.
Well, thanks for playing along with the celebrity casting, everyone.
Yeah, they were great.
That was a lot of fun. That was so much fun.
Do we have a grand prize winner, or is that going
I
to
think
be
we're going to
later?
leave this going throughout the weekend, and then on Monday, the 3 of us can pick a winner, and then we'll send that out.
So stay tuned, everybody.
Yes, but let's show
And
what
should we-
we're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got, do you have copies of, if you don't have copies, I've got some of the books. I don't have all the books.
I've got some copies.
I think I've got all these ones. Yeah, if I'm looking at this correctly. Okay, so you're going to win a bundle of stuff. It's very exciting. So there's a Falcon Point
Yeah.
of Daggers and Deception. Oh no, sorry, that's not the one. It's a Sword of Shadow.
Start with book 1 in this series instead.
Let's do book 1.
Yeah.
And then we've got Danger on the Block. And then you're going to win a $25 gift card to Siegel Book. So I will get that card out to you as well as those 3 books. So, if you have friends who aren't able to join us today, have them come on and comment. We're just going to pick from the comments on any of the platforms that we're streaming from today.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone for
Thank you
coming.
for joining us today. I think Leslie Waters has a comment there for Jessica. And anyway,
Oh,
we're
yes.
just so excited you came. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us and voting and playing our games. And yeah.
And Marilee and Mara and Crystal for all their help.
Always a fun time.
It is fun to do stuff like this too.
It was
Get
fun.
to hear all about the books and everything. Love it. Okay, well, everybody have a great day.
Take care.
Okay. Find something good to read this weekend.
Yes.